Hi, if you haven't been to this channel before, my name is Liz and I am a second-year dental hygiene student. I have been posting vlogs of my week to week for the last year in school, and I'm going to continue doing so until I graduate next May. And I have been asked multiple times to showcase how I study or how I take notes. And so I finally wanted to put this video together because it took me a long time to figure out, and to be completely honest, I'm still figuring it out because I truly think that studying is dependent on the class and the person. So with that said, I have found an article. It is just a makeup article about the eyeshadow looks to make blue eyes pop, okay? So here is the article, and then if we look over, this is the iPad I'm using. And then here I have my laptop set up, and I have a fake objectives sheet over here on my Google Docs. So when I'm in school, every single chapter that we go over in lecture has its own objectives, and I have a Google Docs for every class. So up where it says blue eye makeup, it would say, you know, pharmacology or whatever, and then where it says objectives right here, it would say week 1, or it would say chapter 3, and then so on and so forth. This would be 500 billion pages long. So that's how my objectives work. The first question is, which palette is a must-have for blue eyes when picking eyeshadow, right? So over here on my iPad, I maybe get a highlighter ready, and then I would try to find the words to answer the question. So I would highlight it in my notes, and I could even maybe say objective number 1, and then I would go over to my Google Docs. I don't know if you've noticed, but everything is going to be like color coded because that's just how my brain works. So I would write the answer right here. Moving on, when applying kohl pencil liner, so I would probably try to find those words, which are right here. The objectives say, when applying kohl pencil liner along the upper and lower waterline, which color is recommended? Finish with kohl pencil in black. I would go over here and write that down. Moving on. When doing a smoky eye, what eyeshadow color should you start with? Here is smoky eyeshadow. And then right here it says start, so I found that word, with the chocolate brown shade. Chocolate brown shade. Okay. So I would try to find the words. Tight lining. It says right here, the tight lining technique fills the gaps between your eyelashes, making them look fuller while giving blue eyes definition. Once we have the objectives complete for the chapter, I always copy them and I open a Word document. In my Word document, I would paste, and then I would save as. Let's just put it in here. Once I have that complete, I would come over to my Quizlet sets and I would upload a file. And I would say start transforming. And then here are the eyeshadows that are made. A must-have palette for blue eyes when picking eyeshadow, Masterpiece Nude Eyeshadow Palette. Recommended color for applying kohl pencil liner along the upper and lower waterline, black. So it makes a flashcard group out of the Word document that I have uploaded, and then that is what I would study a million times over on Quizlet. When I take notes quickly, if I just got this lecture today and the exam is literally in like 2 days or whatever, then I would use the tape tool to study. and I would do it in the PowerPoint itself. So for example, I know that the objectives asked those specific questions. Obviously, I'm going to study the entire lecture, but I'm mostly focusing on those questions, so that's what I'll do with you guys. I would tape over the answers like that. Okay, so I would do something like that so that when I am testing myself and going through this PowerPoint, I can say, oh gosh, what was the answer to that? Ah, Masterpiece Nude Eyeshadow Palette. And then right here, finish with Kohl pencil in black, traced along the upper blah, 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 and the answer is black. So I got the answer correct, and that's literally what I will do for days up until the exam. Use the tape tool to quiz myself. And also, a lot of professors create an exam with the same wording as whatever lecture they gave you, whatever PowerPoint or lecture material they gave you. And so sometimes using the tape tool like this is really nice because you do learn the correct wording. So if it were to pop up on an exam, you would be very aware of it. While Quizlet or note-taking sometimes uses other wording and, and then you're kind of creating your own questions. So anyways, now I'm going to show you, if this were an exam I had in a week and I had a little bit more time, I'm going to show you how I would take notes. So let's open up this assignment or this lecture material on my laptop. And then let's go back to Notability, create new. I would name this, the makeup lecture. And then I use black paper in the background just because I think it's easier to see and it doesn't hurt my eyes as much when I'm working for hours on end. So again, I'm going to focus only on those objectives to show you guys this, but I would find the answer to an objective and then I would just write it down. So there's just two things that follow my objectives, but I would do something like this, and then I would go through and highlight the things again that I am trying to test myself on, while also adding a few other test material that I think could be important. That's kind of what I would do, and then when I'm quizzing myself, I would just test myself and then check it out like so. But anyways, that's kind of how I take my notes, and that's how I create my Quizlets. In dental hygiene school, we'll receive a 63-page PowerPoint. I'll go through with my highlighter first. I would have my laptop open with the objectives. With that open, I would know what to highlight, but then I'd go back and actually type in the answers to my objectives, and that is what would get transferred to a file and then uploaded to Quizlet and then quizzed on Quizlet. So that's kind of how I have been making it through this program. And I am big in colors, so everything is nice and color coded. My objectives always match the color that is in my planner and my Notability. As you can see, all of the colors like over here, those match my planner. But yeah, that's kind of all I do, and I just do spaced repetition and a few other things. I made a note, let me read it. So ultimately, you have to learn how to study. It works differently for everybody, and I believe it works differently per class. I've had a few classes where objectives didn't matter at all, and then I've had a few classes where objectives were all that mattered, and creating my own wording was not the way to go. I had to memorize it by the book or by the PowerPoint in order to understand the answers on the test, or even just to recognize the questions. The techniques that I have used and that I continue to use are the blurting technique. You would read however much you want of the lecture material, and then you would put away your sources and either speak out loud or rewrite everything that you just learned as if you were teaching it. So that's been a huge one for me. I've noticed that I learn best when I can teach the material, which does bring me to the next technique I used. It's called the Feynman technique. You should be able to explain the details and information that you have learned in simplified words as if you're teaching a 6th grader. So that's the biggest technique that works for me. I will do my Quizlets until it's pretty memorized, but I'll also look through the PowerPoints and lecture material until I have an understanding, and then I usually tell my husband. I'll be like, okay, I'm about to teach you everything I learned, and if I can do it, that's what makes me feel nice and confident. Another really great way to study and to learn is just spaced repetition. You're not supposed to study everything all at once, and you are not supposed to study everything every day. You have to create a study time block. If you're visual like me, that's been huge, and you should have a set plan. So if you're not going to create a study time block for the week, at least grab a piece of paper and make a to-do list and be a little bit more informative on your to-do list. You should say like study pharmacology, but then under that it should say chapter 1, chapter 5, that one PowerPoint or whatever. And then the next tick mark would be study perio, and it would be first PowerPoint and 6th video, so that when you are studying, you have a specific plan and you can cross it off once you've looked over that and you feel good with the material. Once you feel good with the material and you cross off that entire class on your to-do list, then you can move on to the next class. That's been huge for me because I get overwhelmed very easily, but I also feel very organized when I do organize my time accordingly. So it's just something that I highly recommend. It has worked for me, and I'm going to continue to do that for sure, so that you're not doing more than one thing at once, because that will overwhelm you and you won't be productive. Your brain cannot handle that. That's pretty much the only way that I have gotten through. I'm still trying to figure out really good study methods. This is an everyday learning curve for me as well. So please comment if you have any questions or you want a breakdown on something specific. I hope that this video helped and you guys are going to kick ass this next semester. I believe in you. Thanks for being here. Okay, bye.